Hiraji Yatsus is a depressing loser whose quiet school life takes a surprising turn when he meets Tsumugi, an Oni girl who is looking for her mother. As snow falls in the middle of summer, their journey begins full of crazy monsters and hidden areas. A boy is daydreaming when he suddenly snaps out of it and gets out of the train. The boy, Hiraji, heads to school and asks some classmates if they want to see his homework since he's finished it, so they cheerily agree. Later during art class, the teacher tells everyone to pick a partner and paint them. However, Hiraji looks around at the others since he doesn't have a particular friend, so the teacher cheerily says he'll have to draw him today. After sports class, Hiraji offers to help a pair of boys clean up, but they say they have to be somewhere else and dump the work on him. While Hiraji's cleaning, a girl calls for him and hurriedly asks him to do something. Hiraji hurriedly tries to decline, but she insists that there's no one else she can turn to. Later in a festival, the girl tells Hiraji to just stick to the story and to put a smile on. She introduces him as her boyfriend, hearing which the girls excitedly start asking for details. A while later, the girl carelessly apologizes to Hiraji before putting so much pressure on him and tells him to take care of his actual girlfriend if he gets one and leaves. Looks like girlfriend season is officially over. While Hiraji is dejectedly walking home, he suddenly spots a girl getting in some trouble with a bus driver. Hiraji tries to ignore her but rushes to the bus and says he'll cover her bus fare, but the girl just gets off and asks Hiraji why he tried to help her. Hiraji says it looked like she needed some help and starts to leave. However, the girl drops her stuff and says she does need some help. They walk together and she introduces herself as Tsumugi before Hiraji takes her to his house. Hiraji's mom says she's glad Tsumugi dropped in before she started making dinner. After dinner, Hiraji's dad tells him that he's gotten himself a private tutor since he would benefit from that more. Surprised, Hiraji says he's already enrolled into cram school, but his dad says that's just because he feels like it's safer to follow everyone else, so he should just listen and do as he says. Annoyed, Hiraji rushes to his room and falls asleep while studying. However, he suddenly jolts awake when it starts snowing and a weird monster suddenly appears in his room. Hearing Hiraji's scream, Tsumugi hurries upwards and opens his door to see that Hiraji has been tied up by the monster. Tsumugi hurriedly dodges the monster and tells Hiraji to get up. She jumps out of the house with him and they quickly run as far as they can. They finally stop after a while and Hiraji asks what that thing is. Tsumugi mutters that she doesn't know enough to guess and is trying to figure out why it went after him. Hiraji slowly tells Tsumugi that she's grown a horn, so she slowly says that's because she's an Oni. A small cloud floats out of Hiraji's hand, so Tsumugi explains that this is a mini Oni. They tend to leak out of people who try to keep their feelings bottled up, and it's proof that Hiraji is hiding his fear. Hiraji tries to deny this, but more mini Oni start floating out of him. Tsumugi reveals that she comes from a place where Oni live called the Hidden Village. She left there because she wanted to find her mom who ran away when she was little and left her dad and her all by themselves. He did his best to raise her on his own, but things were pretty hard for them. She says she's at a shrine in this world, but realizes she's lost her charm and hurriedly tries to look for it. Hiraji gives her a charm, saying she dropped it, so Tsumugi asks him to take her to High Shrine. Hiraji tries to decline, but remembers how his classmates treated him and agrees. They set off for High Shrine and keep walking until Tsumugi wearily says she's tired, and they manage to hitchhike as Hiraji's father tries to look for him. Getting into the car, Hiraji and Tsumugi meet Ryuji and Mayo, who reveals that they're going to set up a stall near here and ask if they want to come with them. After the festival is over, Tsumugi notices that Mayo and Ryuji are acting awkwardly around each other and confronts her about it, so she makes up with Ryuji. However, it suddenly starts snowing and the monster appears and attacks Hiraji again. Hiraji hurriedly flees into the forest to avoid them, and a while later, Hiraji finds her lying unconscious like she just got bonked on the head. Hiraji hurriedly grabs her and manages to reach an inn where he desperately asks a man to help her. Later, the owner of the inn enters Hiraji's room where Tsumugi is lying asleep and sees that she's still asleep because of her high fever. The owner tells Hiraji to call Tsumugi's parents since she has to give this room to her customers. However, Hiraji asks her to not do that and doesn't reveal anything when she asks for details about Tsumugi. He quickly says he'll work at the inn and try to earn his keep, asking her to just allow Tsumugi to stay here for a while, so the woman slowly agrees. Hiraji works at the inn for the next few days and calls his mom to let her know that he's fine and is currently living at the inn. Once Tsumugi recovers, they both leave together to continue their journey to High Shrine. However, on their way, Tsumugi suddenly spots a painting in a cafe and heads inside to take a closer look. The owner welcomes them in, even though they don't have any money, and allows them to thoroughly examine the painting. Additionally, he even serves them tea and tells them about how much he's traveled around the country. When it's time for Hiraji and Tsumugi to leave, they see that it's raining, so the owner gives them his umbrella and tells them to just visit him whenever they're in the area. Later, when Hiraji and Tsumugi finally arrive at the shrine, she finds her father waiting for her there. He tells her that their village is in trouble and that her mom is still alive. She's just out of reach. Frustrated, Tsumugi angrily runs away, so Hiraji quickly goes after her. In a park, Hiraji tries to comfort her, but they end up having an argument and go off in separate ways like heartbroken lovers. Hiraji dejectedly mutters that he wasn't able to tell her what he actually wanted to and starts releasing tons of mini Oni. His father finds Tsumugi and asks Hiraji's whereabouts, so she directs him towards Hiraji. His father finally manages to find Hiraji standing alone in a field and is about to approach him, but the monster, a snow god, suddenly swallows him. Hiraji's father rushes to Tsumugi and her father and asks her to keep her eye out for Hiraji, explaining that he thought he had found him in a field, but he suddenly disappeared in front of his eyes. Surprised, Tsumugi quickly runs away and tells her father that she needs to apologize to Hiraji. Meanwhile, as Hiraji is lying unconscious in the snow god's body, he suddenly starts glowing and causes the snow god to explode. He falls out of the snow god and onto the snow, where a woman quickly finds him. As Tsumugi and her father are rushing to get to Hiraji, his father quickly gives them a ride. However, Tsumugi notes that they can't take him to their hidden village and quickly get off the car. Hiraji wakes up with an Oni horn, and the woman and her co-workers take him to meet Chief Gozen after protecting him from the snow gods. Meanwhile, Tsumugi and her father arrive as well, but they're stalked by guards, so her father tells her to go on without him while he holds them off. Tsumugi eavesdrops on Hiraji's conversation and learns that the village uses a mask to summon the snow gods, which allows their village to be hidden, and says they just need to destroy that mask. She starts going to find it with Hiraji, but unexpectedly locks him in the food pantry, tearfully thanking him for everything. Tsumugi's father finds Hiraji and helps him get out, after which the others give him a coat and a scarf. The woman and her co-worker from before take Hiraji to Oni Island, the location of the mask, as Tsumugi manages to reach it and sees that it has a hot spring. Hiraji plows through the sand and reaches the top of Oni Island to see Tsumugi entering the shrine. Inside, Tsumugi finds a mask and is about to touch it when it suddenly tilts up and she is sent flying. Tsumugi starts seeing memories from before and realizes that her mom had to go sit at the temple and sacrifice her normal life to protect the village. Sounds like a pretty bad trade-off. However, she happily flies down and embraces her mom, who starts crying. However, she suddenly starts disappearing in a flash of light along with the other snow gods, and an avalanche begins approaching Tsumugi. She tries to flee but gets enveloped in it and wakes up in a dark place. Tsumugi slowly follows Hiraji's footsteps and sees their shared experiences before waking up in his arms. They suddenly start floating and land down in front of Tsumugi's parents, who happily hug her. The snow gods disappear and Hiraji remarks that he should get going, so Tsumugi happily says goodbye and thanks him for everything he did for her. Later, Hiraji returns to the real world and smilingly tells his dad that he has a lot to tell him. They return to their house and have a conversation, after which Hiraji starts hanging out with his friends and enjoying himself. Sometime later, he's walking home when he suddenly spots the bus from before. Tsumugi unexpectedly gets off of it and happily approaches Hiraji, saying she came here to communicate her feelings to him, hearing which he starts blushing. If you enjoyed Hiraji and Tsumugi's journey, make sure to like the video and subscribe to the channel for more amazing stories, and I'll see you all next time.